If you've been feeling extra sensitive lately, emotional, and easily triggered, then this message is for you. You are not broken. You are waking up. You are expanding your consciousness and you are on the right spiritual path. As our nervous system detoxes, old emotional wounds are going to come up. Those old triggers are going to come into our reality. And part of ourselves, we're letting go of who we used to be and the stories that we used to tell ourselves. And so when we do that, it's almost as if the universe, God, or whatever you believe in, kind of come in and say to us, are you sure about that? Let me throw you a test. And it's almost like we get these tests where we are then being triggered. And it is up to us whether or not we are going to respond or are we going to react to the stimuli on the outside of us. Sometimes also the stimuli can be within us, right? And that's true, as sometimes our own thoughts not only create the reality sometimes within us, but it will also create the reality outside of us. Because what we are going through on the inside is going to be mirrored to us on the outside. And I'll give you a really good example. So I've mentioned this before in previous videos, but I'm in the middle of quitting my job. And with quitting my job, there's a lot of emotions coming up. There's a lot of triggers that are coming up for me. And it doesn't make me feel the best. I'm not going to lie to you. It has caused much stress onto my body. And you would think somebody who is quitting would be happy-go-lucky. But I don't feel that way some days. And when I go into the story of who I used to be, this person used to be angry and irritated a lot. And I will let those old patterns kind of take over in me and let it play out. And it will justify why I'm quitting this job, why I'm leaving after the contract. You see, I have to stay into this job until June because I chose to honor the contract, because that's who I am as a person. I like to fulfill my duties and kind of do my due diligence and not just kind of peace out. So I said, okay, I'll stay till the end of the contract. But the deal is that I will get myself worked up some days to where I get easily triggered, where I get emotional, where I'm like, see, that's why my boss did that. That, look, even more justified reasons. And I'll get worked up and worked up and worked up. And to the point where my body physically is like, we can't be doing this anymore. And will make me like feel, really sick, like ill. And, I get stomach issues and things like that. But I'm here to tell you on the opposite end, when I let it all go and I don't get stuck in the patterns in the stories of who I am, and I observe the emotions that are kind of coming up for me, and I observe the irrational thinking and the quick, swift into being judgy and filled with vengeance and wanting justice and all of these, and anger. When I let all of that go, my outside reality ends up being so much different for me. I actually will then have a peaceful day where everything kind of works out for me. I feel really good. I'm like, interesting, right? And so as you're going through that, you can start experimenting on yourself. And I actually challenge you to do that. I actually challenge you to watch how you are within your reality. Are we reacting to certain outside stimuli or internal dialogue? Are we attaching ourselves to those emotions, to those stories that are kind of coming up for us? And we need to realize that triggers are just messengers, right? They're letting us know that we're letting it go, right? We're ascending, we're moving on, because once you become consciously aware of the emotion, then there's literally no excuse for you to not let it move through you. And once you're consciously aware of the process of which to feel the emotion and to let it go, then you are conscious enough as a co-creator to say, I no longer want this into my reality. This is no longer welcome. And we need to start making more of those conscious choices within ourselves. But easier said than done, like I shared in my story, to where I felt it kind of come up for me. And I was like, oh man, here we go again, And I decided to react, and I decided to move into that. And as we're moving into this new paradigm of reality, we need to realize that we can no longer act this way. It's the old world, where in the old world, many people act in their emotions, they act in fear, they act in chaos. And we need to then shift that paradigm and shift that perspective and start to then say, I will no longer welcome this into my reality. And so for me, a really good practice that I used to do, and still do, I should say, is that when emotion comes up, what you're going to do, no matter how uncomfortable it is, because believe me, at first it can be extremely uncomfortable. What you're going to do is you're going to let the emotion come up into the body. We're no longer going to press it down. We're not masking it, and we're not following the thought forms that come along with this emotion. We are just going to look at the emotion for what it is and feel it. Feel the emotion. So, if it's anxiety, for example, we are going to fully feel the anxiety, the anxiousness kind of come up in our body, and it's going to feel extremely uncomfortable. And so you're going to feel it come up in your body. And what you're going to do is you're going to feel it fully. You have to. No thought forms that are going to come along with it. We are not going to chase that. We're just going to continue to breathe. And what it's going to do is it's going to last for however long it's going to need to last for. For me, it's literally lasted only a few minutes at most. And it's going to come up and it's going to pass. And then you can sit there and we can continue to meditate, go into our heart space, maybe go outside and ground a little bit, take an Epsom salt bath, so on and so forth. Whatever's going to feel really good for you once that kind of passes for you. Now, if this is something more severe, like for example, you get panic attacks, then you're going to have to work on that a little bit longer. The goal is not to have a panic attack. So if that's coming up for you, then that's not the advice I should give you to follow. It's just, this is a simple exercise that you can do that I've given to my clients to do. And really what that's going to do is it's going to help you be able to move through your emotions faster and without following a storyline, and being able to fully let that go. So what you would also do afterwards is, after all that's completed, another great way to work through your emotions is to journal that down. For me, journaling has been a big game changer. If I didn't have journaling to move through this when I was being triggered or unconscious patterns coming up, I don't know if I would have really been able to fully get through it. We're going to journal that. And a really good journaling prompt that you can do is, what am I really feeling? And asking yourself the question, why? Why am I angry? Why am I feeling that way? Well, why did that person make me angry? And you're kind of using that as sort of a mirror, right? And you have to realize that the outside reality is your mirror. So it's going to reflect back to you the things that you feel within yourself. So for me, was feeling issues of inadequacy, of not feeling good enough, of worthlessness, because that's what was being reflected out to me in my work environment. And when I was able to take a step back and not follow that storyline, I was able to say, okay, that's why I was feeling that way, right? And another really good way is when I start feeling like, for example, really anxious or like feeling really weird. Movement has been a really good friend of mine as well, right? Exercising, walking, dancing, any sort of movement is going to feel really good. Even cooking or like doing like the dishes or something without following the storyline that can come along with that. Take that as a meditative state, right? And what you're going to do is when you're doing that in that movement, it's going to help move those emotions through you as well. It's another great one. As well as like shaking. We're going to shake all over our body and being able to let things go that way as well. And really, when we incorporate some of the things that I have taught you here today, or whatever else works for you that comes with into your reality, you're going to realize that we can then start to not feel these lower vibrational feelings as much. Life still does happen, and I'm not going to disregard things that happen in your life, right? I don't, yes, we are interconnected. I am you, you are me, and we are just a representation of one another. But I'm not going to sit here and say what works for me isn't going to work for you. But I found these to work for myself and some clients, and you can definitely instill that into your life and see how that is going to help you. And so, my dear friends, I just want to say that it is okay that you're being triggered right now. It is perfectly normal. It is signs that you're detoxifying, that you're waking up, that you really are in your spiritual path. And what you're getting thrown to you is tests. And can you pass the test? Can you have enough resiliency inside yourself to be able to move through it and be able to come out on the other side? And it's really interesting because sometimes that comes along with manifestation too, which I'll talk about in another video, to where we get these tests kind of thrown at us to see how we would react, to see how, if we would be able to handle this abundance coming to us, which is really interesting. And remember that your reality is a mirror, and that what you're seeing on the outside is actually a deep reflection of what you feel on the inside. And so the more that we're able to shift our perspective, our paradigm, and everything inside of us, the more that we're able to then wake up to who we truly are. And you're not going backwards. You're not. You can't go backward. There's only right here, right now. There's only the present moment. And when you realize there's only the present moment, you realize that attaching yourself to the past and the future is no longer beneficial for you. And when you're able to do that, you're able to then take a step out of time and space and know who you truly are. If you found this video to be helpful, please like the video, subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you in the next one.